We will now look at the mini lesson component of balanced literacy. As a reminder, Professor Ante will be representing our mini lesson, Mighty but Meany. As we learn about the resources, the instructional routines, and the purpose, we want you to think about the mini lesson in two ways. We will be addressing both the reading mini lesson and the writing mini lesson. As a quick reminder, this component is 10 to 15 minutes of all of our framework. 15 minutes for reading and 15 minutes maximum for writing. The mini lesson is a time for the teacher to teach efficiently and explicitly the skills or strategies students will implement in life and, of course, for independent reading. The materials recommended for the mini lesson are reading or writing notebooks. You may have a copy for yourself as well as copies for your students. Mentor text for the read aloud or the shared reading. Post-its, chart paper, markers, any other material that you feel you will need to be able to bring that learning or make that learning concrete for your students. The instructional routine consists of the architecture of the mini lesson. I will further explain this in just a second. You also want to have a place where students will gather to observe the mini lesson. This is a time for all of the attention to be on your instruction on your mini lesson. And it's also a time that whatever you will be modeling, students will be applying. So be cognizant of what you're going to model because that will be what students will be applying. The components of a mini lesson consist of a connection, a teaching point, the actual teaching, active engagement, and a link. The workshop itself begins when teachers use an attention-getting signal to secure students' attention and ask them to convene. The signal must be obvious and meaningful to students. Show students what you expect as they gather and what materials to bring with them. Once at the gathering area, model what they will do as you deliver the mini lesson. Within the architecture of the mini lesson, there are times for students to observe the teacher and times to engage in the learning. Model what you expect them to do in each piece of the mini lesson. Students will replicate the mini lesson in their own work. Therefore, if you are using post-its or highlighters, students will use these as well. Your classroom setup. Establish a gathering place for students to view and engage in the mini lesson. It may be a carpet or desks, any place as long as students have access to that mini lesson content. Students may bring with them their notebook, shared text, and a writing utensil. Teachers will model the gathering area routine and/or select student partnerships. Structure your classroom to allow for ease of access of materials and to meet for the mini lesson. Throughout the year, students will partner up for various reasons. Consider your pairing to ensure the mini lesson is not interrupted. Here you have some images of the classroom setup. For secondary, it may look different due to class size, but nonetheless, all students need to be able to access the mini lesson, either by turning their desks or scooting up to an area as an example. Before you move on to the next component, take some time to think about what you already have in place and what you still need in order to bring it all together. The next component is independent reading.